Just to quickly recap, chapter 1 begins with Arjuna's confusion. Basically, the context is Pandavas and Kauravas have assembled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, desiring to fight and decide the future leader, or the future who will be the primary king from Hastinapur. At that point in time, after they all have assembled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, looking at all the army, he was confused. Why am I fighting this war with my own relatives just for my own, for my own victory and for my own kingdom? Is that so? He was not able to justify his own actions, and so he was very confused. And he gives various reasons to Krishna as to why he should not fight. He gives primarily four reasons. So he finally says, I don't want to fight. So that's where chapter 1 ends. And then chapter 2 begins with Arjuna's further doubts. He'll continue to ask more doubts why he should fight. So this is again in the middle of the battlefield, everybody is assembled, and suddenly Arjuna started emotionally broken. He was emotionally broken. He just puts his Gandiva bow down, which he never does. He was. Uh, it's as good as leaving his body. He says, "Whenever I put my Gandiva bow, it means that I am done." But he does that because he was in such a confused state of emotions. Um, so at that point, he completely uh, offloads his duty. He doesn't want to fight. At that point, he inquires. He asks Krishna, "You guide me as to what is the right course of action." Then Krishna would suddenly, until then, the relation between Arjuna and Krishna were like friend, but now suddenly the relation has changed, as if one is the teacher, the other is the student. He completely says, I'm completely utterly clueless and what's the next course of action. So similarly, in our life, there will be situations where we are totally confused, unsure of what is the right course of action. At that time, we need the right guidance, spiritual guidance. That will give us clarity of our thought. Hmm? So now, rightfully, he approached Krishna, who is the supreme authority in the best guidance. So Krishna would first clarify that, first understand who are you. You are not even this body, right? We act according to what we think we are, isn't it? So we think I'm an engineer and do certain things. So what we think we are makes us act according to the way we act, right? So similarly, Arjuna was in such a confused state as to, he doesn't know what's the right course of action. So first, Krishna clarifies the identity aspect. The identity that first thing is you are not even this body. You're considering yourself to be your body, and all these are your relatives, and I'm here and I'm killing them. And he clarifies that killing the body is not killing the soul, because you are actually the soul, and the soul has no death. And he further explains the characteristics of the soul, uh, and how soul is Satchidananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss and happiness. Um, and then how soul cannot be cut, cannot be burned by fire, cannot be dissolved in water. Um, it's eternally existing, and all that clarifies the position of jiva. And then he gives an overview of everything actually in the second chapter, how he must perform as a kshatriya his duties, uh, without any expectation. The protection of dharma is the primary aspect he should see, and he clarifies the path of jnana, clarifies the path of karma, and then for Arjuna he says you should work, you should perform your duty. That is the rightful way of right way of executing right way of action for you to continue to act as a kshatriya, the ideal kshatriya, without any attachment. Just perform your duties. Um, and then there is a big section on sthita prajna where Arjuna asks, "What are the characteristics of a perfected soul who understands who he is and he who is a self-realized person? What are his characteristics?" So, in elaborate, Krishna explains the characteristics of a sthita prajna, one who is accomplished in self-realization. And then Arjuna was confused at the end of second chapter. After Krishna talked about sthita prajna, which means uh, a self-realized person who is not, who doesn't care to do any work. He was confused. Should I not take the path of renunciation rather than working? So the chapter 3 is titled Karma Yoga, where Krishna basically clarifies the difference between Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, and he uh, encourages Arjuna to actually follow the path of Karma Yoga. So in chapter 3, there are these there are 43 verses, and you see here each of these, like first 10 verses focus on one theme. So like that all these themes exist. So first he clarifies karma yoga is better than jnana yoga, because by karma yoga one has the opportunity to purify his existence through performance of actions, because most people in this world have to work, but when they work in the right consciousness, not as an enjoyer but as a performs his duty, work as a duty, not being attached to the results of the actions, that would actually elevate him, elevate his consciousness. And then if you are not qualified for karma yoga, then practice karma kanda. What is the difference between karma yoga and karma kanda? Karma yoga is where one performs actions as a matter of duty without being attached to the fruits of the actions. Karma kanda means he performs actions he performs within the precincts of dharma only. He performs, he is not going to perform actions which are against, which are non-dharmic. So he performs uh, all legitimate actions, but he is still attached to the fruits. He has faith in God. So karmakanda means he's nice person, he's within the precincts of dharma, but he has some attachment to the fruits. So Krishna is saying if you cannot be detached from your actions, so at least perform your actions at the level of karma kanda, because Vedas cater to all levels of consciousness of people. If you are at a first grade, you have certain things to learn and elevate yourself to the next level. So karma kanda is considered within the precincts of dharma the lowest level of paths to self-realization, the lowest, and then karma yoga, higher than that. So if you are qualified for Jnana Yoga, still practice Karma Yoga to set a good example. In the next section, Krishna speaks on this. Why? Because this world needs great examples. Even a Jnana Yogi, he is such a advanced soul that he sees soul everywhere. He doesn't see. Uh, he sees the essence of everything. He. Uh, so for such a person, there is no need for performing any work. But even if you are a Jnana Yogi, Krishna says, still practice Karma Yoga to set a good example, because there is no loss. Because when you perform, if a person is a Jnana Yogi, still if he performs karma in this world, right? For example, there is a very saintly person. but he still performs work. uh, he sets a very good example on how to people can easily follow such a person, because this person acts without any attachment, to the fruits, and thereby, everybody understands how to work by seeing such an example. No, and then further, Krishna clarifies the differences between Karma Yoga and Karma Kanda. So now we are in that section, 27th verse onwards. We'll start reading for today's class. The beautiful verses here. Prakriteः क्रियमाणानि क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते. Yeah, can one of you read translation? I'll ask Nitin Prabhu. Nitin Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu. The spirit soul, bewildered by influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by three modes of material nature.
Prakriteः kriyamanani means when we perform work, who is the actual doer? We think we are the doer. But previously, Krishna already explained, in any action, there are three participants. Who are the three participants? One is yourself, the soul. Anybody remembers who are the other two participants based on previous classes? Anyone wants to try? Give it a try. There is Prakriti, nature, and then thirdly, Paramatma. There are three actors in any action. So, and what is the role of each of them? That was clarified in 13th chapter. So, for example, Paramatma exists within the heart of every jiva, along with the soul, yourself. There is also Paramatma within your heart, who is Upadrishtata Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapyukto Tehosmin Purushah Para. 13th chapter 23rd verse explains. Yet in this body, the human body, there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and permitter and who is known as the super soul. What is his duty? He is the overseer. He is the one who knows and sees all your actions. And ultimately, he is the permitter. If you want to lift your hand, you only initiate, you express your desire to lift your hand, right? That's the initiation part. The soul does the initiation. I want to lift my hand. And then Paramatma sanctions. Yes, you can lift the hand. And Prakriti, which is the material nature, your body is your body is material nature. Right? Panchabhutas is the constituent elements of your body. So this body is actually under the control of Paramatma, is not under your control. So you desire, you initiate. Paramatma Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So he is the Upadrishta and Anumanta. He is the permitter. So he orders the material nature, the body, to actually carry on the duty. That's why if somebody uh, has paralysis, he also may order his body, his hand to lift up. But can he lift up? No. Paramatma, based on the situation, he understands that this person does not have the capability, or he's in this situation. So there is no permission to lift the hand at the time. So the hand won't be lifted. So that's how it works. So we are only the initiator. The sanctioner is the Paramatma. Prakriti, which is under the control of the sanctioner, carries on the duty. For example, if a woodcutter cuts the tree, who is cutting the tree? It is actually done by the, of course, the initiator is the woodcutter, but actual work is done by the axe. So, similarly, the actual work, any work that we perform, is actually carried out by the material nature. This body is just a combination of these material elements. It's as good as this earth. Now it has this form, but it's as good as the earth that we see outside. But it has come together uh, to give this form to me at this point, and again it will disintegrate into the same primordial elements, isn't it? At some point in time, we'll again go back to the material nature, Mother Earth. We'll go back to the Mother Earth, isn't it? So this is a temporary manifestation. These forms are always temporary, right? The person, the soul that we are, that's the real self we are. That's the real identity that we are. So we have multi-level existence within this body. The soul is our true self, and we are covered with subtle body, right? We have three level of existence. So soul is the true self, and then subtle body, which covers the soul, constituting mind, intelligence, and ego. Right? So you have mind. How do you say you have mind? Based on you're able to think, right? So your ability of thinking determines that you have a mind. Mind, intelligence, and ego is the subtle body that we have, and beyond that we have the gross body, which is made of the material elements, five material elements: earth, water, air, ether, and fire. So this body is actually is temporarily, it's like a dress. This body is just like a dress. Second chapter discussed this, um, right? Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam ja tata dehantra prapte dhirastatra namuhyate. um, just like a boy from childhood to youth to a man and then old age, just like the soul changes within this body into different phases. So, similarly, at the time of death, the soul changes to a new body. It's as good as changing dress. So, Krishna in second chapter clarifies, the the nature of the soul and nature of the body, where he explains that this change of body is as good as changing dress. Just like when the dress is torn and worn, we don't use it further and we change to a new dress. So similarly, when the body becomes useless and you know similarly uh, yeah body, the soul changes the dress, the external body. So there is nothing to dhiras tatra na muhyati, means the wise do not lament upon this. So ahankara vimudatma means bewildered by false ego. False ego, I said the subtle body has three elements: mind, intelligence, and ego. Three things. Mind is basically a repository of all the thoughts from the past experiences. So, mind has this collection of millions of thoughts, not only this life, from the past lives also. Intelligence, based on the data provided by the mind, it would give you a direction, intelligence, to do or not to do, right? So intelligence gives the direction, and ego gives the identity to the jiva. What is the ego? I am, so I say I am Venkata, or I'm an engineer, I'm a husband, or I'm a wife, I'm the son, I'm the father. So these are all identities. We live with so many identities in this world, which are all temporary. Actually, what's our true identity? We are actually Atma, right? We are the Atma, but bewildered by the false ego, bewildered by the false ego. The true ego is that we understand I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. But false ego is that we identify with everything else other than the real fact that we are actually this Atma. Right? We all get lost in this world. Just like when you enter a movie theater, right? You are in the reality of the world. When you enter the movie theater, what happens? The first thing is all the lights are off. Second thing is a new reality would be projected onto you, right? The reality of the movie that is being projected onto you. Now now you start identifying with that picture that you are seeing in the screen, and you go through the emotions. Sometimes the the protagonist, the hero, would go through difficulties, challenges, and you become, a little bit emotionally down. And then when he is victorious, you become jubilant. You identify, uh, right? You vicariously identify with the role that you are seeing. So similarly, these are called Pratyakshatmik Sakti and Avaranatmik Sakti. So similarly, Jiva, when he is placed in this material world, he is covered with these two energies of the Lord, Pratyakshatmik Sakti and Avaranatmik Sakti. Avaranatmik means covering potency. Just like when you are put in the cinema theater, first is you are covered. There is no light. You see that you are completely off from the original reality of the world outside. First, everything is dark because that's the Pratyakshatmik Shakti. When we are put into this material world, we are originally, as I said, Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. But when we are in this world, suddenly we don't have any knowledge. We think we are temporary. That's why whenever we see death, we don't like it. Why? Because that's not the nature of the soul. Soul wants to live forever, and this body is limiting its existence within this world. So it's a dichotomy for it. Soul cannot understand why the hell is this going on. Why am I have to leave this body? Because so that's against the nature of the soul. That's why, and happiness is the nature of the soul, but miseries all the time come because body, you have body. Body means body is going to give you a lot of troubles. Both physical and mental troubles. We discussed this in Discover Yourself at Depth. uh, there are different levels of problems, right? Created by nature sometimes, created by our own mind and body, and created by other living entities in this world, like your manager or your husband or your wife or your uncle or whoever it is. So always we are troubled with all these problems, but nature of the soul is to be always happy. But we don't experience that happiness all the time because we falsely identify ourselves with the things of this world, right? Bewildered by the false ego, the spirit soul, the eternal jiva, uh, thinks that he is the performer of activities in this world. Ahankara, Vimudatma, bewildered by false ego, the spirit soul thinks that he is the doer, which are in actuality carried out by the material nature, right? So there are three actors. That's what we should understand from this verse. There are three actors. We are only the initiator. And then Paramatma sanctions and the material nature works to perform the action. Right? Sometimes, we all experience, we work very hard at office, but we don't get promotion. Sometimes you don't work that hard, but still you get it. So we understand that our work is not directly correlated to the results we get. We all understand that. So this is in the same line. Basically, uh, you know, the importance of understanding this principle that you are not the primary doer. right? And there is Paramatma involved in this, and material nature, which is under the control of Paramatma, is actually carrying out the duties. Um, is false, to get away from the false proprietorship that I am the doer. Right? Many people claim to be the doers, and they often get, because of that identity, whenever the results go bad, they are very depressed. So understand that you have to put your sincere effort, you know, but not worry about the results. As long as you do your duty, you are taken care. That's what is in your control, and that's what you should care about. You don't care about the results as much. Of course, you want to get the good results. You want to put your best effort so that results come nicely. But if they don't come, as long as you are sincerely putting your effort, we don't need to worry, because ultimately it is a sanction of the Lord that happens that makes the results come the way they should be. Yeah. So Prabhupada in the purport clarifies two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. Means a person who is God conscious versus who is not. They may be working for a software company, or they may be working in a shop or something, but their consciousness is very, very different. Okay? Because a materialistic person thinks he is the doer, he is the breadwinner, he is the you know um, he is the cause of everything that he is having. But a God conscious person doesn't uh, identify like that. The person in mental consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is doer of everything. He doesn't know that the mechanism of body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Lord, Supreme Lord. Yeah. So the person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of nescience or ignorance. He doesn't know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Lord. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna or Krishna consciousness. Because this body is actually a gift of God. If we act in that consciousness, our actions will be very different, right? Uh, any questions on this so far? Anyone has any questions? I hope it is clear then. Or if you have any questions, you can ask now.
So, Prabhu,
Mm-hmm.
there are a couple comments and question also.
Mm-hmm.
So, the comments are like in the previous time I heard somewhere an analogy where the analogy gives an example of a competition where multiple people or part of the competition there are, and the competition is they are like strong people, whoever breaks the wall gets a prize.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are very strong people come on the board and try to break the wall, they couldn't. But then there are very average man comes, but he has some confidence in, he just says, okay, I want to give a shot, and he just run towards the wall and just smash it and it breaks. Now the result is like, oh, how come this person has broke the wall? So the analogy explains that the other very strong people, they were so proud of their strength, but in their past karma, they didn't had enough karma acquired to get the results from of their actions. But the
Mm-hmm.
person who had acquired some karma, he just made action and he had a desire to break the wall, and Supreme Lord eventually accepted his desire and made gave fruits on that. So that was one analogy I just wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then question is, uh, that given we are working on this, and I we understand that okay, we make a desire, and then Supreme Lord instruct the modes of material nature to fructify those desires. So does it mean that we should never desire, like for example, I'm working on the my company,
Mhm.
so should I not desire that okay, I'm kind of working on my project, I need to complete my project, so completion is not a desire, or getting the project to the successful end is it not a proper desire to have, or
Mhm.
because I know that
Mhm.
sometimes, as you say, promotion definitely is something which is beyond our control, or many people's control, but
Mhm.
at least completing the task on time,
Mhm.
isn't that our desire, that okay, I don't want.
Absolutely, absolutely. You
So,
should always target to finish.
so how does it work in this karmic
Yes. So,
philosophy?
so this philosophy teaches that you are not the only doer.
Hmm.
There is Paramatma involved. It does not preclude you from performing your duties to your with your sincere efforts, putting your full energy into it. Right. So we have to perform our work with utmost sincerity, with utmost desire to complete in time, with the best results possible. Right. With
Hmm.
full focus.
Hmm.
That should be always in the back of your mind. But
Hmm.
in case if the results don't come, right, or results come, in either case,
Hmm.
do not think that your ability to perform sincerely was the cause of that.
Hmm.
Right. Understand there is Paramatma who also actually. So that's what, right. Even in cricket,
Hmm.
I remember most of the have most of the players have some kind of superstition.
Hmm.
For Sachin Tendulkar, right, I heard, if suppose in um, the place where they stay, suppose they go to a stadium and they play a
Hmm.
match with another country. um, so for Sachin Tendulkar, all the doors of the bathrooms in the in the particular place of stay should be closed. If that is there, if that happens, then he is confident that match would be in their favor. So
Hmm.
it's kind of superstition. So
Superstition.
everybody understands there is something within our control and there is something beyond our control that actually determines the fruit of a action.
Hmm. Okay.
We may call it, he may call it just a belief,
Yeah.
but we all understand our results are not determined by our own
Yes.
actions alone.
I don't.
So that's the whole point. You put your best effort, and we in our as per the scripture Bhagavad Gita, we
Mhm.
understand that actually that result is sanctioned by God Himself. Do not blame it on your anything else,
Mhm. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
commode or your door or anything. Ultimately, it is we just like Sachin Tendulkar, the right consciousness would have been for him is, hey, I perform my duty perfectly. But ultimately, I'm not the decider. It is the God who sanctions the result of this match. I would put my best effort. There is no, I'm not going to become lazy. Oh, I'm not the doer. Ultimately, God is the doer. No, I will put my full effort, full strength, sincerely work. But if the result come in my favor or it does not, in either case,
Mhm.
I don't take any credit.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like detached. That's what this verse teaches. Don't be too happy, but don't be too morose if the
Right.
results
Right.
don't come in your favor.
Right. But then we should still keep working on our.
Yes, we should still keep working on with
Right.
your sincere efforts. Yes,
Right.
100%. That's why, yeah, there is another verse that talks about this also very well, right? Just because you are not, controller of the results does not mean that you become lazy. Vikata Jwara, right?
Yeah.
What is that verse? Karmanyevadhikarasya
Yeah. Mate.
mafaleshu kadachana.
Yes.
Mafala hetobru mate sangostu akarmani. Don't be attached to not working just because you are not the primary doer, right? You
Yes.
still work with your. You have the adhikar to perform your work. Karmanyevadhikarasya. You have the adhikar to perform your work. Mafaleshu kadachana doesn't mean that you have the result in your hand. Mafaleshu kadachana. Hmm?
Yes.
Uh, yeah. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. Can anyone read? Akshita Mataji? Akshita Mataji, can you read? You can unmute yourself. I think you are joining for the first time. You can just read the translation here. We are just going one by one just to involve everyone. Okay. Mataji is not
Yes, Prabhu, I
speaking.
can read.
Yeah,
This
Sagar Prabhu, yeah, go ahead.
one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, whom mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results.
Hmm. So one who understands absolute truth means one who understands God or Paramatma, who mighty armed, doesn't engage himself in the senses and sense gratification. So he does not try to enjoy in this world with his senses. Means trying to enjoy with senses means treating himself as the enjoyer in this world. Right? Knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Work for fruitive results means karma kanda. Karma kanda means where one works. When he performs work, what is the goal? The result of the work. That's he's just focused on the fruit. If the fruit doesn't come the way he wants, he's just going to give up the work. He's not duty minded, he's fruit minded. Right? Work in devotion means work with proper understanding, proper mindset that I'm in this world, I'm not this body. This body is just a temporary covering, and I'm here. The whole purpose is to again to self-realize that my purpose is not to enjoy this world or stay here forever. My purpose is to understand I am actually, I'm in an awkward place here at this point in time, and focus on the ultimate goal of life to go, to achieve self-realization and go back to God. Um, and so he is naturally not focused on sense gratification. Sense gratification means using your senses. Senses means your eyes, tongue, skin. Skin wants to touch nice soft objects. Eyes want to see the most beautiful things. Tongue want to taste the most tasty food. These are various senses. These are our senses which we can engage in gratifying ourselves. Right? Doesn't mean that we don't eat, we don't see beautiful things. Doesn't mean that. But uh, we do all these things with the right consciousness, with right understanding. If you see a man sees a woman lustfully, or a woman sees a man lustfully, that's how the world perception is. Most of the people see the world with the perception of what is there for me in this thing or in this person. Or
Hare Krishna,
so
Prabhuji. Oh, Krishna.
yeah, so that's the natural perception of people in this world. You have a question, Mataji, Shiksha Mataji? You can,
Yes, Prabhuji, it's kind of unrelated, Hare Krishna.
yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that God is the doer, right? So basically,
God is the
when
sanctioner. Uh, he is the he's the sanctioner, means he permits. He's not the doer. We
okay,
are the initiator. Material nature is the doer. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is more like, okay. So right now, I mean, with, with Krishna consciousness, we're all trying to go back to Godhead and all of that. But my question is, did we choose to come down and descend? And were we all part of Golok before that we are trying to go back again? I mean, obviously, we are all searching for God and all that. So were we in Golok before we decided to go through the 183,000 species and then become our current state right now?
Yeah. So we were all part of, yes, spiritual realm. We are not part of this material existence. We are part and parcel of God, and we were existing with God. But as soon as we desire to enjoy,
Hmm.
we are not anymore part of that realm. We exist in the material realm right after. It's initiated again. It's initiated by our desire, the soul's desire to be independent of God. That was the cause of our existence within this material world. So, because we are part and parcel of God, one may wonder how can one who is in the spiritual realm will ever desire to come back to this world, to this temporary realm, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was a valid question. When we exist with God, right, in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual world, we
Mm-hmm.
exist we exist as independent jivas. We are not like a forced jiva to always, we all have our independence, our independent existence. We all have minute independence. So we have a choice to love or not love, to love God or not to love God. We all have the choice. If there is no choice between two people, is there going to be real love? Like if A loves B, B loves A, it should
Mm-hmm.
happen by their choice, isn't it? It's not
Yes.
by force. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, while we exist within the Vaikuntha or Goloka is also also a spiritual planet. So in any of those realms, when we are existing, we always had our free will
Mm.
and our own independent choice to either to continue to love or not love God. Right? If there is no choice between to love or to not love, then there is no question of uh, love. The love has no meaning. It's just force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
naturally, there is always a small percentage of chance for somebody to actually to choose the other choice, to not love God, right? Just
Mm.
like just like city is created with with all the facilities, with all the roads, with all rules and regulations. But city also constructs a small jail because there will always be citizens who will not abide by the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though the whole purpose of creating the city with all these things is that all the citizens happily live in this place, but there will always be people who make the choice the other way. So for them also there is a facility so that they don't disturb others. Just like in software, there is a quarantine where you keep things which are which are not following the rule in that quarantine place in a mission. So similarly, jail is a place where the non-law abiding citizens will be kept. So similarly, we were existing in the spiritual realm, but when we made a choice to enjoy independent of God. So why only Krishna at the center? Why not? Or why only Vishnu at the center? Why not me? As soon as the desire comes, you do not belong there anymore because that's a uh, that's not a position where you can uh, sustain that understanding or you can live with that understanding. As soon as you have the desire, you have a choice, and as an independent jiva, as soon
Mm-hmm.
as you make the choice to not not in that kind of an understanding about God, to love, as soon as we decide to enjoy independent of God, why only God at the center, why not me? Then you have a place here in the material world because you do not belong there. So all the people in this world comes with that understanding that I am the enjoyer, I am the doer, I am. So that's why we see this kind of understanding in everybody.
Mhm.
There is so much competition. There is, for everything there is. Right now, President Trump is saying, I am the president still.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like that, we all come to this world with that understanding. I am the enjoyer, I'm the proprietor, I am the um, you know center of everything. From that
Mhm.
understanding, when we go away from that understanding and uh, re-establish our original relationship with God, that we are actually loving servant of God, then you again restore your place in the Vaikuntha. Until then, you need to be trained in this world. You need to go through a lot of happiness, suffering while you are trying to enjoy in this world. You will be given the doses of all these experiences. And Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Manu, you keep continuing in this existence as long as you think you are the enjoyer in this world. As soon as you think that, hey, this is not the this is not who I am. I'm actually
Mhm.
spirit soul, and I
Mhm.
am supposed to be always blissful, and I'm why am I suffering in this world? As soon as you question all these things, who am I, why am I suffering, what is all these things going on, what's my true existence, where do I really belong? When all these questions come and you pursue in that path, and ultimately you realize that this knowledge is given, you really are, all of that is given in Gita. eh? Just uh, like a stubborn child, right? There is a stubborn child.
Mhm.
Mother says, hey, don't play with this blade, it's going to cut you. The stubborn child says, no, 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 I want to play, it's good for me. So what would mother do? She would give him blade because he just made a choice to not listen to his mom. So similarly, we made a choice to not listen to God and be in complaints with God. So there is no choice for God but to send to us this place. So we are here.
Mhm.
We are given this blade. Now, when we cut it, we understand. Oh my God, this is so much painful. I don't want to. And then God would, mother would cure that, and over a period of time, the child would understand. Hey, this blade is not for me, and it's going to cause more pain. I would rather listen to my mom and be happy there. So as soon as he realizes that and he works on that and he goes back to his mom, then the loop is closed. So similarly, when we understand I'm not this body, I'm a temporary, this body is temporary, and I'm actually spirit soul, and I belong to spiritual planet. Spirit is eternal, spiritual world is eternal, Vaikuntha
Mhm.
is eternal. So the spirits should supposedly be living there, not here. This is a temporary realm. It's like a jail,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
99% of the existence, real life, people are actually in Vaikuntha. Only 1% is left here. This all these millions and billions of jivas is just like 5% of the entire jivas that exist. The 95% is already there in the spiritual planet. Understand that. Okay. So just like in a city, the
Mhm.
the occupants in a jail are very less in number, right? The
Mhm.
main citizens are the maximum 95% of the people are actually in the city. So similarly, most of the existence is in Vaikuntha. Only a small percentage of jivas who actually rebelled against God, who are temporarily, God doesn't mind it. He provides us nicely. He understands we made this choice, and he supports us while we are here. Through nature and through, just like we are discussing in the previous verse. He does all of that, but he wishes that his child be back with him, right?
Mhm.
So that's how it works. I hope that was clear.
Mhm. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you. I think you
Continuation
are joining
question.
for the first time, Mataji. Welcome to the class.
Oh, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a
Yeah.
continuation question on this.
Yes, Srividya Mataji.
So we are all here, and the many things happening in our life. Is it all pre-planned, or is it based on our current action? Like people, in many people, they say about that secret and all, whatever we wish to get in future and all. So is it something like we wish and pray here and then it will happen, or is it already pre-planned? Like Trump has to become the president, or this person has to become like this. So is it always it like we in our mind whatever we think is
Mhm.
going to happen, like if God permits?
Can you repeat, Mathis? Your voice is broken actually in the beginning.
Oh, sorry. The question is,
Hmm.
so whatever life struggles or happiness, whatever we go through,
Mm.
and whatever position or whatever family, everything, is it
Hmm.
pre-planned or by God already he pre-planned like a drama, already script is there, or is it something like today I perform some action and tomorrow or a year later sometime I reap the benefit? Is it something like that if God permits, or is it already pre-planned whatever we do in this particular life? I'm not talking about future life or
Hmm.
something, but in
Hmm.
this particular life, because nowadays there are so many things like secret, all those things are they're telling you only attract things like that. So if you think something you will get it like that. So
Hmm.
uh does it work like that, or
I'll
uh,
explain how it works, then you can understand based on what I say. So the way, so when we perform actions in this world, right, they would result in, it's like a deposit in a bank, and that those actions will have results, and those results would come in your future. It could be in the near term. For example, somebody drinks wine, he may get headache in the near term, and hangover, but after few years he may get liver problem. That's second result. So our actions would result in our future. We are the um, people who determine our destiny. God as god as the father, like the other example I was telling, he is the permitter, right? He would, based on your desire and your karma, if you are eligible, you will get it. uh, and our existence will continue like this in a eternal cycle, as long as we choose actions uh, to enjoy in this world. As long as our we don't come to our senses, this cycle can repeat forever. It's not like a predestined drama. You can always choose to get out of all this game, uh, but it depends on our own choice. Ultimately, God knows, every child and what kind of choices, what kind of mindset he has. Just like a father knows the mindset of a child and what they choose, but still, it is according to our own choices we make in our life that determines our future. Um, so that's how it works. So our choices matter the most of about our future. What we get and what we don't. And of course, what we get again ultimately has to be sanctioned. Sometimes we see a person is killing another person, that is also sanctioned. We don't know what has happened between the two people in their previous lives. In the past, some other farm, he would have killed the other person, would have killed this person. We don't know why it got sanctioned that way. We see only the current life, and we think, why would God let this happen? But we don't know what's in the past between the two people involved in that, right? So that's how it works.
okay, so desire plus sanction.
Yes, we only desire, and ultimately God sanctions. And God sometimes may not really like what we do, but if your karma allows to perform that action, He will let you do that, because it's your choice, and you want to do it. And as part of that, you may accumulate bad karma. He's not going to stop you because that's your choice. Um, but He will give you enough suffering that you will realize this is wrong. Most people learn by uh, going through that, right? Very less number of people learn by hearing about it. Many people have to go through the experience to actually understand that that's not good for them or good for them, whatever, right? So all types of people exist. So accordingly, things would manifest. But ultimately, yeah, it has to be sanctioned by God. Otherwise, nothing would happen. And we don't know what kind of lesson is involved in that, and whether the person is learning the lesson or not in that whole process, right? So ultimately, everything. Actually, we should understand one thing. Sometimes things don't go in our favor. Sometimes things go in our favor. But if we understand that everything happens in this existence for my own good. Everything actually happens for that purpose only. It is to teach you a lesson. For example, we everybody goes through you know graha karmas, right? In their lifetime, they have to go through a period of time where Lord Shani's influence is there, right? Lord Shani is people think, oh, this is my period is bad right now, but actually the whole purpose of Shani's influence is to teach you a lesson. In the time, you may have certain passions, you may have certain certain way of working. So that period is a period of self introspection and correction. He is going to correct you in that period, and if you take the lesson to the right in the right spirit, you don't really get scared of this period of sade saat, that during that period of influence of Lord Shani. You can actually better be, you actually come to your senses better, and uh, get connected to God better, get connected to spirituality better. um, you know all these things can happen. Some people choose the other way, where they don't they actually curse God, and they go more away from God. But everything in this life happens for a reason, and ultimately for your benefit. It is teaching. Every incident is actually teaching you a lesson. If you accept this universe is a university,
Mhm.
this university is a university, and you are a student, life becomes so much more meaningful. In every turn, you would see only lessons. In nature also, you would see lessons. uh, Everything is teaching you a lesson. That's if that's the attitude, then you don't go through emotional turbulence in life, because you see everything is a learning opportunity, right? Yeah. Any other questions?
Prabhuji, I was just wondering, can you explain the concept of like Sanchit karma and Prarabt karma? Because I keep forgetting that all the time. How much ever I read up on
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we'll cover that little later, because that the whole cycle of you know um, how karma works is it's a cycle actually. It involves little more detailed explanation. Let me show you. There's a nice diagram we can. Sorry, I'm distracted to it. I am just taking you a small divergence here to just explain how karma works. It is also to answer Sri Vidya Mataji, because both of you are asking similar question. Let me just clarify. Our it all begins. Our existence in this world begins with avidya, ignorance, right? We are in the spiritual world. We came to this world to enjoy, because that's what we desired in the spiritual world. So the first covering that is given to us is ignorance. Means forget who you are, forget that you are spirit soul, forget that you are related to God. You have now, when you come to this world, you are just in a dark ignorance state. Just like when you enter movie theater, first thing is to switch off the lights, then a new reality will be projected into you. So similarly, when we come to this world, first we are covered with darkness, which is ignorance. We forget who we are, who is God, what's my relationship with God, and all of that is gone from your mind, right? You're fresh slate, and you have a desire to enjoy in this world. So that ignorance about your true identity leads to sinful desire, because you think, oh, I have nothing to do with God, I'm not permanent, right? You think that you can enjoy with your senses in this world. So That's called sinful desire or bija. So when you have that sinful desire, that would lead to papam or sinful action. Now you try to enjoy in this world in various ways. So that would lead to unmanifest reaction. Means you did some mistake, you may not get the result right away until you get caught, right? But uh, it is going to, in your account, it will go as an unmanifest reaction. It will come in your future at some point in time. It may not be realized now. Just like I mentioned, somebody drinks wine, the the unmanifest reaction is that his liver is getting damaged silently in the background. Over a period of certain years, he would realize it becomes a manifest reaction. That's when he will go through suffering, right? And not only that, I mean, that's a very simple example, but um, we all go through this cycle with everything we do, right? So aprarabdha would result in prarabdha, and then whatever is not manifested, for example, um, you did some certain sinful activities, that would also give you kutam. Means you want to repeatedly, because you repeatedly perform that action, that sinful action in the future again. It's called sinful disposition or kutam. These are called vasanas. Some people, even though when they are only like 10 years old, they start stealing because that is their kutam from their previous life. Simple disposition means their attitude has developed from their past life, right? Some children I know, like, at a very young age, they are having certain negative dispositions. So that's coming from their past life, right? So that is, so part of it would manifest, part of would go to the future life. That's called kutam. And what would kid kutam do? So in the, like I mentioned, as a child himself, he's having certain sinful desires. He wants to steal, right? And then this cycle continues. So as long as you're continuing in this cycle, you're ignorant, and you develop sinful desire to enjoy in this world in various ways, perform sinful actions, and then you get some unmanifest reactions. Some of them would manifest reaction and go through suffering. Some of them would come in your future life. So this cycle would continue, and your existence in the material world would continue like this forever. Now, what is the way to break this? This has to be gone. This avidya has to be cut off from you. Means you understand who you are, like the way you are all trying to understand now by studying Bhagavad Gita. Now you understand, hey, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. I'm not the only doer. God is the sanctioner. Material nature is the doer. I am just duty bound to perform my actions in this world. So that now your ignorance is going away. So when this is gone, there is nothing to sustain this cycle here, right? Slowly your sinful desires will go away. So this is cut off, bija is cut off. Slowly your sinful actions will go away. Your aprarabdha karma would go away. Now when this cycle completely is gone, all the elements of the cycle is gone, then there is no reason for your existence in this world, because the whole, it's meaningless to be here for you. You belong not to this place, you belong to spiritual planet. You're self-realized, so you don't anymore exist in this world. So that's how it works. uh, is that clear, Mataji? Siksha Mataji?
Oh, yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is the thanks for asking, because this is very relevant for us, but this is actually deeper science. We discuss this at a at a later point in time. So one who is in true knowledge, which means that ignorance is cut off for that person, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification. Perfect example for what we saw just now, right? He is not going to perform sinful actions. So there is no aprarabdha karma, neither there is prarabdha karma. Knowing well the difference between working in devotion and work for future results. Yeah. So the knower of absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, um, and that his position should not be in material creation. He understands he doesn't belong to this existence. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme. Mama ivamso jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastrani indriyani prakritim sthani karshati. So that's a beautiful verse. I'm just going to again 15th chapter here. The living entities in this conditional world, the world we live in, are my eternal fragmental parts. All of us are part of God. Krishna himself is saying, they're all part of my parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So our existence in this world is called conditional existence because it's temporary, right? We are happy when conditions are in our favor. We are unhappy when conditions are not in our favor. But that's all because of our temporary existence in this material world. When we go back to God, that existence has no meaning. We live with God himself, right? So there is no conditional existence. We are always happy in that existence. Yeah. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of Supreme, who is eternally blissful and who is eternal bliss and knowledge. And he realized that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. We're all in that awkward state. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotion service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of the material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. Now, when we understand, actually, I'm not this body, I am temporary in this world, I'm existing temporarily in this world, I'm actually always blissful in my original existence, and I can always achieve that state, right? It's such a hope giving situation, right? We understand that all so the people passing away, all of that is temporary, and we can get away from all this suffering. What can be more hope giving than that? So that's what Krishna is saying in that other verse, right? He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord. So when material reactions come, not in favor sometimes in your favor, in he's not disturbed by so he thinks that everything is there to teach me something. That is his way of seeing things. Everything is a perfect arrangement of the Lord for my own purification. Then in that uh, in that condition of mind, he's always happy. So he never complains. Such a elevated person in such elevated consciousness. Prakritir guna sammudha sajjante guna karmashu tana krishna vido mandan krishna krishna vinna vichalayet. Can someone read the translation? Shiksha Mataji, can you read?
Sure, I can read. So, bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them. Although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now we in this world there'll be 99% of the people do not understand that, the three doers that are existent in any action, right? The self, who is the initiator, the Paramatma, who is the sanctioner, and the material nature that is actually executing the action. So naturally, people who are ignorant, they would be engaged in all kinds of activities for their own pleasure. Hmm? So they become attached. So a wise person who understands, sees these people in this engaged in this way, should not condemn them, should not look them down. Hey, these people are inferior, they don't understand, that they are spirit soul and their existence in this world is temporary. So we should not disturb them. Instead, actually, uh, we should not discourage by negative words. Instead, we should slowly encourage them to come to right path. Slowly, again, we should not ever disturb, act in a way that makes them feel awkward. Should not unsettle them because of the performer's lack of knowledge. Because they are also spirit souls. At some point, they will also come to that understanding. It's just matter of time. So, wise should not unsettle them. So we'll read a couple of lines here. Persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. All these people, they think, I'm the, I am this, I am that. Many people identify with these temporary things, isn't it? But what is the meaning of the temporary thing designation after say 100 years, where he doesn't even exist, right? I'm the richest man. I'm the founder of this. I'm the founder of that. And you know, the best engineer. All these are very temporary things. I'm the president of United States. What happened today is gone. What is true just a month ago is not true anymore for that person now. So we should not. So if we are too attached, just like you know President Trump, now he's not able to even give up that position. He wants to just hang on to it. He doesn't believe in the election results. So it's because of the attachment to the results, bodily attachment. Yeah. This body is a gift of material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called manda, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. Ignorant men think of the body as the self. They accept bodily connections with others as kinsmanship. The land in which the body is obtained is their object of worship. Right? And they consider the formalities of religious rituals to the end in themselves. So this is the kind of ignorance people have in this world. They think relatives are everything. The land I am born is most worshipable. Of course, you should have certain respect. Doesn't mean that uh, that's everything. Because this, wherever you are born, whatever, it's all temporary again. So they consider the formalities. So they only care about religious rituals. They don't really, people do not try to understand the spirituality behind the ritual. Social work, nationalism, altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. People may be engaged in social work or as a national what is it called? People who love their nation. What are they called? Patriots, altruists, wishing the welfare of everyone. These are all, again, all these isms, right? All these isms are some kind of designations, right? When your mindset is, I'm just focused on my own family, that is one level of consciousness. When your mind is focused on, say, your city, maybe you're a leader of the city, that's little more expanded. Now, when your focus is the well-being of the country, that is nationalism. And when you are focused on doing good to others. So these are all again bodily identifications. You think you are the good person who wants to do this. While it is good, still it will bind you to this world because you don't have real identity understanding of who you really are. You are actually a temporary being in this world unless you come to that understanding and work towards that, perform yoga and purify yourself and go back to God. All these isms, while they appear um, uh, in a in a good covering, they appear to be like good activities, but they're actually not really good at the level of the soul. They may be good, they may give you good karma, you are altruistic and you are doing charity work, it's all good, but to get the results of that, because you are thinking you are the doer of the charity. Now what happens after this life is done? You are going to get another body where you will be given charity. Somebody does charity of a land, he would get in his future life so much more land just through inheritance or whatever maybe. So in that way, the material nature would reciprocate positively for positive actions, negatively for negative actions. So it comes as a karmic baggage, but you still continue to exist in this world. So all these isms will continue your existence only. Uh, they're not going to give an end to the existence in this world unless until you come to the understanding that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and I have a relationship with God, and I have to revive that relationship through performance of yoga. Yoga is a process to connect the soul with the super soul. That's what is yoga, right? Yeah. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in the material world. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life as non-violence and similarly materially benevolent work. So while they appear to be good work, they are not ultimately good in terms of your self-realization, right? While I don't know, we praise all these people, but uh, they are still blind to spiritual reality of life, right? So um, in that sense, they are not really moving forward in the right direction. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises not to disturb them and simply waste your valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for human being. See, this is very interesting statement Prabhupada made. Sometimes devotees would, take risks and go out and share this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, or share the books like Bhagavad Gita with people who are completely ignorant, because there might be some open-minded people who wish to learn, but they never come in touch with this knowledge before in their life. So they take all kinds of risks to help others to advance spiritually because they understand the purpose of God, right? Just like sometimes a mother may not have all her time for all the children, right? But an elder sister can help the younger one understand the subject, or understand, give her more time, and you know give her more support because she understands the heart of the mother. So like that, um, a devotee who understands the purpose of the Lord, he understands ultimately God wants everyone to be back with him because that's where the jivas will be happy. It's not because God wants us for his happiness. It's for our own happiness. He wants us to be back, right? So they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of ignore.
Something
Sometimes they take the risk. Yeah. Sorry. Anybody has a question?
Which I want to tell only. Even other religion people are telling this only, like they are coming, even wantedly are telling you are not understanding, come and try ours, like that. So this feature is inherent in human, maybe that is, I am having something good, you also try to participate like that.
Yes, yes. For example, Sri Vidya Mataji, you made nice gulab jamuns. You made 50 of them. You have for your family 10. What do you do with the rest? You want to share with others, isn't it?
Correct.
So the
Like
same
that.
attitude exists always, because we want to share because we are experiencing something really positive. And so naturally, when we see others are not experiencing that, we want to share with them. Uh, right? Joy is multiplied when we share, isn't it? That's what they say.
But when it becomes forceful, it's the problem. That's why we should not force. Like if they
We
are
should never force.
destined to that, they will come.
Yes,
Like
we should always inspire people. We should not preach and force people. Never anybody. We should never force anyone at our home or at our work. We should never force. Instead, we should set such a good example that we live so nicely that others are inspired by seeing us and want to understand what we do, and thereby understand, come to learn more about it. We should only inspire. We can never force. It's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that out. Yeah. Should we stop here? It's 6:35. Should we? I think three or four people already left. Let's stop here. We'll continue. I think we didn't cover much today, but these are all very powerful verses, and I also covered some introduction. That's why it took some more time. So if you have any questions, please always feel free to ask, either now or you can always ask me in WhatsApp, and whenever I get time, I will answer your questions. Okay.
I have one unrelated question, Prabhuji.
Mhm.
Totally unrelated, just curious. So we say Balaram is elder to Krishna, right?
Mhm.
So why Krishna become the king and why Balaram did not become? Just to know.
Why Balaram is elder to Krishna? Is that the question?
Balaram is elder to Krishna. So why he did not become king of Dwaraka? Why Krishna became king?
Oh, why he did not become the king? Okay, I'll answer you.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't got that question anytime.
I was
I
thinking when compared to Ramayana and Mahabharata, yeah, their elder brother should be the king like that we were telling, but why in here it's like that? So,
I heard an answer, but I don't want to answer that because I need to really confirm that before I answer. So we'll discuss this in the next class. Okay, Mataji?
sure, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I also had a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
When
Yes,
you are
Mataji.
reviewing this chapter 15, verse 7, it says we are all fragmented parts of the
Yes.
of Godhead, right? But
Hmm.
in chapter 2, verse 13, Prabhupada actually talks about this Mayavadi theory and says we are not part of God. So that is a little conflicting to me, and I wanted to understand, like, the distinction there between 2.13 and 15.7.
Okay, let's see this 2.13. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body. Yeah, so this is Dehinosmin Yata Deho. So which part you're talking about, is it?
So in this Bhagavad Gita, as it is, in the purport, he says about the Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained. And we are all like individual, basically. We are not part of,
Oh, okay,
God.
okay.
So but in
Let me read that.
15.7, it sounds as if we are actually fragmented parts of God. So I just wanted
Okay,
it
let me
made little
clarify.
conflicting to me there.
Yes, let's read this again. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Oh yeah, so this part. So spirit cannot be fragmented. That's what this point is. Spirit means you are a spirit, right? You are a soul. So this soul, the soul that you are, cannot further be fragmented. Okay, that is the understanding. Now, what is discussed in 15th chapter is a little different thing. So, in the whole is God. So, in that, the fragmental parts means the parts within the God's totality. We're all part and parcel of God. Means um, we are not like a broken pieces. We are like fragments in that entirety. The relation between God and us is like, for example, I have this body, I have hair. We are like hair. Hair is hair part of the body or not part of the body? You can say either way. But the way hair exists, hair can also exist independently. So similarly, the jivas, which are part and parcel of God, have also by their independent will, right, exist independently. So they're not like a broken pieces. So the Mayavadi philosophy says that there is just one thing. Means it says that you are God Himself. That's where the Prabhupada's argument here is that you are not God. If you are God, why are you suffering in this world? Why material nature is overpowering you? So we are like gold particle. If God is like gold mine, you are like gold particle. You are same in quality,
Mhm.
but not in quantity. So the quantity wise, we are like a drop of water in an ocean, and God is like ocean, right? We are same in we have Sat, Chit, Anand, the same characteristics, but we are minute. We are under the power of the material nature. God is the like the other words we discussed, right? So material nature, God, Maya Jakshena Prakriti, Suicheva Characharam. So God is the overseer of everything, permitter of everything. And we are not like that. We don't have that power. We are spirit soul. Within the heart, there are two things. One is the jiva, the soul, and there is Paramatma, the sanctioner. So, as per the verse that we read today, Paramatma is God is the sanctioner. The jiva is the initiator, right? So both are different. And Mayavadi philosophy says there is just one thing. But if there is just one thing, why we are going through all this suffering? Why do we have to go to toilet every day? Why can't you? No, we can't even control our bodily actions, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so we are. So our Vaishnava understanding is the jiva is like God in nature, but not God, not as potent as God. It's called Anu. God is called Vibhu. So God is also Satchid Ananda,
Mm.
but he is Vibhu, means he's much bigger in terms of quantity. He can do you know uh, he is far more powerful, right? So he's omnipotent, omnipresent, and he's um, omniscient. He's aware of everything. For example, Jiva is aware of your own. You know about only your body. That also we don't know completely what's going on in our tummy. We don't know. Uh, but our consciousness is limited to our body. But Paramatma exists in everybody. So every Jiva understands, God understands everyone, but we understand only ourselves. So there is a gulp of difference between us and God, right? So when Mamai Vamsa Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana, that says you are part and parcel of God. Means you are in that whole package, you are part,
Mhm.
but you never become God, right? So Mayavadi philosophy says that you have broken out of God, right?
Okay.
And you can again merge back to God. So that
Okay.
merging into Brahman effulgence, that idea is fluke, because Dehinoshmin Yata Dehe, that verse says, you know, just like this soul is in this body moving from youth to boy to youthhood to old age, so
Mhm.
similarly the jiva continues to exist in his future life. Um, so in the past he existed, in the current he is existing, and in the
Yeah.
future also he'll continue to exist. So there is
Right.
never a time he'll come and merge into existence of God.
Okay.
Hope that clarifies.
Yeah, I understand a little bit better. It's still somewhat confusing, like, but
Mhm.
yeah, I will continue to read actually both the
Sure.
verses so I understand
Yeah,
better.
we can discuss also after the class, if or later on,
Okay.
phone call, or to have more clarity.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
yeah. Hare Krishna.
Maybe
Anything?
next class you explain it more. We will also understand. So even it's confusing for me also. So
Yeah,
whether
I
you'll
mean,
merge back or it's all
okay. There are different types of
fun.
mukti. There is Sayujya, Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, uh, Ekatva. These are all various types of liberation. We'll discuss those. I mean, these are all little bit advanced topics. We'll get there, eventually.
Yes.
If
And
you,
also I heard, just I'll mention one thing. I read about Virat Purusha and we are like atoms of his body.
yeah,
So that also Vaishnavism
yeah, that is
accepting that.
discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah,
Okay.
so these are all advanced topics. We should
Yeah.
not, we'll get there slowly.
Okay.
And if something is not clear, we can always bring those points here. But otherwise,
Yes.
we'll go through. I mean, there are a lot of concepts to understand. We'll go one by one. Okay. So we'll
Okay.
discuss.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, 30th onwards. We'll discuss in the next week. Thank you all for joining. And many of you have joined newly. I welcome you again. If you have a minute, you can introduce yourself. If you are still around, I think already a lot of people left because it's already more than 1.5 hours. If you have joined for the first time, you can tell about your name, your what inspired you to join this class. What are you looking for? You can unmute yourself and speak for a minute. Anybody? Siksha Mataji, I think you are new here, so.
Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I was in Seattle before. I used to go to the ISKCON Mandir there, but now I moved back to Houston. That's where I'm from. So
Mhm,
because of the COVID,
mhm.
everything is under restrictions. So I I've been getting this link, but I never really got a chance to join. So today actually I had some free time. So I guess it's every Saturday
Every
Pacific
Saturday at this
time.
time, yeah. Houston
Pacific
for
time.
you, yeah. Pacific
I'm
time.
Central time. Central time.
Oh, you are 2 hours away. Okay, yeah.
Uh-huh. So 6 to 8:30 p.m. Right, Pacific time.
No, 5 to 6:30 our Pacific time.
Oh
So
yes,
it'll be
yes, because you're
it'll be
2 hours
seven
behind. Okay.
seven to 7 to 9, 7 to 8:30, I think, for you.
Yes, 7 to right now. Right now it's almost 9 p.m. actually. Okay.
Mm. Sure.
Oh,
That's
thank you
why.
so much. Very
Yeah.
informative, and I like the way you kind of took our questions and incorporated that and gave us a better understanding. So I really like this because I've been it's like joining various. I have like so many groups for WhatsApp Zoom sessions for Bhagavad Gita, but I think this is one of the more the more clarifying. All are clarifying my doubts and things like that. So I'm definitely going to be back again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So we'll end the class here if no other questions. Anybody else who is new to the class? I don't see anyone else. Rashmi Mataji, I think you introduced. Did you?
Hi, Prabhuji. No, I didn't introduce
Oh,
myself.
please, yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
This is my first class. We completed a DYS course last week,
Oh, Ganesh Prabhu.
yeah, yes.
He's a very good teacher, yeah.
Yes, he is. And I'm in San Jose, and I'm really enjoying the class. I'm still covering the first 2 chapters. I may have questions next time.
Yeah, please, no worries. Yeah, take your time here, and you can always message me, and we can discuss also if needed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.
all of you joining from different places of United States. It's very inspiring to see all your sincerity and regularity. Yeah, anyone else wants to introduce yourself? Okay. Yeah, also you can all encourage your family to also join your wife or husband. It's always good to learn together. Okay, so we'll end the class here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Hare
you,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.